Here we go.
How cool is that? Hi.
Hi. Thank you for that groovy music. It makes me feel like warm in this cold weather.
Right? I can only imagine.
Oh my God, it's okay. She's complaining in Florida, guys. I know my Chicago people are like, wah, wah, wah. It's okay. Anyway, hey, everybody. We're back. We
We
are
are back.
back. And I'm so excited to be with the beautiful Janine. We are on episode number 25. You're tuning into the Tummy Whisperer podcast. I hope everybody's doing well and had a wonderful, happy, and healthy new year. I know we're already in February and it's like, well, that's over. But obviously, if you guys are tuning in, you're here because you're still having symptoms. So, today we're going to have a little extension of what I have been talking about for years already, but we're going to talk about next steps to heal your gut. And it's not as scary as people think. People are always thinking, change the diet, run a million tests, got to eat this anti-inflammatory diet way the rest of your life. And the truth is, well, yes, maybe removing some triggers for your immune system could be helpful as a next step. I'm going to give you an overarching big picture of what really needs to be done to fix and finally heal that gut, support that mucous membrane, seal up that lining so the leak isn't continuing to leak into the bloodstream where the kidneys are having to try to clean and filter all those undigested food particles and junk and waste and end stage metabolites from your bacteria that are actually pooping in your system and all that stuff, creating all this metabolic inflammation to the point where your body is showing you, hey, your check engine light is on. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. What does your check engine light mean for digestion? It means obviously poor digestion, bloating, gas, constipation, diarrhea, just acid reflux, GERD, anything that feels digestively off, sour stomach, bad taste in the mouth. Those are your obvious digestive issues. The things that people who already know me understand, there's an extension of the digestive tract that spills into skin conditions, sleep, hormonal imbalance, your energy signature, anything that's happening in the body that is not right. The first place that you should look is with your gut, especially when there's unresolved symptoms that you can't get a handle on, right? That you cannot find the answer to. And a lot of people are pretty savvy and they're like, I think I should look at the gut. I haven't really looked at that yet. And I've told you this before. Many people come to me that don't really have those first set of inflammatory gut issues, but they have the second step, meaning they've bypassed their stomach, which doesn't have any signaling to trigger off a response, but their detox pathways are blocked. So their liver is backed up, the gallbladder is not firing properly, it's too sludgy. They're not able to move out the waste from their food. They're not able to absorb the nutrients from their food and get rid of this waste, which then causes skin issues and hormonal issues and cravings. And what I want to stress is how important it is to just take a pause and try not to really react to, I'm needing that corn chip right now. It's not a bad thing to have a corn chip. We have plenty of them in the house. Although I've switched to those Mary's Gone crackers. Have you ever seen her Mary's Gone crackers in the store?
No, but it sounds delicious.
They're like a seed cracker. I only like two of her blends. One of them, her original blend has the tamari in it, so I don't love soy, but there's one that's like a basil flavored one, and it's got like 6 ingredients. It's really, really good. And we're pretty much addicted to them here in the house. But so my point is, if you're wanting something crunchy and salty, that is not the end of the world. As long as what you're eating is clean, you have a good energy. When you're eating it, you're not fearful of food. You're not fearful of all the things that may happen if you do eat this. And that's one of the biggest components I find with my clientele, and understandably so. Should I eat this? Is it going to affect me? Is it going to help me? Is it going to cause an issue? And there's all this disconnect between what you're nourishing your body with or trying to, and what's going to be useful. So again, food can be the strongest form of medicine and the biggest form of poison. And again, guys, it doesn't mean that you have to make these perfect choices all the time. It's not about being perfect. It's about being in your life, but choosing good options. So quick example, my husband went to watch the Super Bowl last night to a bar. He checked to make sure the nachos were corn for gluten-free. But, it was all the option that he had. And it came loaded with all this stuff. He wasn't going to be too picky, even though he has to be very mindful of gluten. And he ate not how I would make nachos at home. Not that I really ever make them, but I would make them with cleaner ingredients, right? And his body showed him this morning that he had a little histamine issue. He was noticing in his lungs and everything, but it was short-lived. I got him fixed up. And the idea is to strengthen the immune system and not be fearful of having to go out with friends and eat something that may bother you, right? We strengthen, just like you go to the gym. For some people, going to the gym is awful, and I get that there's exercise intolerance, but strengthening your immune system comes over time. It's not a 3-week to 3-month deal where you're set. Yes, you've laid strong foundation, right? And you've adopted good habits in that time. Like you, Janine, you're a perfect example, right? We took out the inflammatory food, you're maintaining, you're feeling well, you're doing great. I mean, but again, you had holidays. I'm sure you had some dietary indiscretions, and were you okay?
Yeah, I mean, well, I wasn't then. I definitely wasn't then. I didn't realize as we went from a couple of years back how gluten was really affecting my body. And I always used to make fun of people like, oh, they're gluten free, or oh, I used to literally laugh about it. Don't knock it till you try it, because your gut will thank you.
Yeah, and it's easy to do, right? It's not that hard to do. If you're already buying bread at the grocery store, go get the Canyon Bakehouse bread. It's delicious. It needs a little toasting, and you've got your bread.
That bread is good, really good.
It's good. I only literally have maybe 2% of people complain about the bread, and it's like, well, if there's 8,000 different other gluten-free breads, Trader Joe's makes their own, Whole Foods, Jewel, there's 8,000 different kinds of gluten-free breads.
I know. I love how people try one brand and they're like, I don't like it. Well, I don't like every type of regular bread that's not gluten-free. Like, I would make my bread over pumpernickel, but I'm not going to say that all bread is bad, because of.
Yes. And speaking of gluten-free pumpernickel, I'm going to give this company a plug. Hold on. Oh, I got to look it up. They make a gluten-free pumpernickel and sourdough. Hold on, I'll look it up for everybody in case anybody can. Hold on. You have to order 4 loaves at a time, but it is called gluten-free.
Sourdough's the biggest thing right now.
Yes.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it's been that way for a while. Oh, here it is. This is called Simple Needs, SimpleKneads for anybody that cares. They make a great pumpernickel, gluten-free. They make a couple of other ones that are good that Mark and I have had from time to time. Does need toasting, everybody, just so you know. So don't shoot the messenger. But back to your sourdough thing. Everybody loves sourdough because of the fermentation. And I'm going to say something, and you guys aren't going to like me for it, and I'm okay with that. Everybody with their fermented products, their kombuchas and their sourdoughs and all this stuff, you are overdoing the ferments. How do you know? Because that stuff should be digesting in your small intestine, should be starting to break down in the small intestine. When you're giving pre-fermented stuff, all you're doing is adding to your fungal picture. And if you have fungus and candida, all you're doing is exacerbating it. Not to mention fermented foods are high in histamine. And 90% of my clientele have histamine issues. How do you know if you have a histamine issue? You have hives on your skin. You get acid reflux. You get diarrhea. You get nausea. You get headaches. You get dizzy when you stand up too quick. And there's 10,000 other reasons to think you may have a histamine intolerance. So what I need to say is, guys, a little bit of sauerkraut a day is fine. A forkful with a meal. A sip or two of kombucha with a meal. but the hardcore big amounts of ferments are absolutely no. And if you don't believe me, start putting them in and see what happens. So again, we don't want to feed the fungal load in the body. We want to give the body just a little bit of diversity, and that's all you need. So I'm off the soapbox here, but let's get into a little bit more besides food. I want to talk about the microbiome, which everybody's familiar with. And I want to talk about what it really is. Everybody understands that your gut is the big picture to your health, but it's so much more than that. Your gut dictates to the brain, which sends to the tongue, your cravings. It sends your mood. It sends how your body reacts and responds to perceived threats. It is responsible for that connection, your microbiome. And if you are short on enough good alpha diversity and enough good beta diversity, you're going to have those reactions. So it's not about you trying to like be a nicer person or be a better citizen. It's the gut that dictates to the brain. So what do? We start balancing out the gut and we kind of downregulate the rest of the body. So most people would be completely shocked to learn that humans have 10 times as many bacterial cells in the body than in the microbiome. So the microbiome alone, it weighs in at an astounding 5 pounds of information. And that's not even factoring in the other microbiomes like your skin microbiome, your oral microbiome, your vaginal microbiome, which all have its own, but it shares something called translocative bacteria. So when I'm running the stool test, the genome sequencing stool test that I use from BiomeFX, I'll see bacteria that will migrate from the mouth into the gut or from the gut down to the vaginal canal. Or if somebody has a lot of UTIs and bacteria in their vaginal canal, that can go then upstream into the gut and cause the gut issues. So it's sometimes hard to say which, but the specific, like Coriobaccteriaceae is one that lives in the mouth, can also affect the gut, right? And E. coli, which 60% of my clients come back on the stool test with, it's Escherichia E. coli. That is a vaginal biome disruptor. And how many people, Janine, do you know that are struggling with UTIs? They go to the doctor. We don't see any infection, but here's your antibiotic. Do you know anybody like that?
I'm a number one candidate because I was diagnosed with interstitial cystitis, which is, it took a long journey to get diagnosed with that. But if anyone knows about a UTI, it's definitely me. It's awful.
Oh, there you go. So IC is the fibromyalgia for the vagina, right? When the doctor can't figure out what's going on, it's fibromyalgia. It's all this internal inflammation, right? But when the vaginal canal, there's no active infection that they can see with their testing. They can't see anything. And I'm right there with you. I actually had a cystoscope where they put a camera right up my urethra into the bladder because I was having bladder issues many, many years ago. And the doctor said, "Oh, look, you've got 2 ulcers in the bladder." And I thought, okay. I said to him, "Great, what do we do?" He goes, "Well, since we don't really know what bacteria they are, we don't know what to do." And I was like, "That's your answer? You're going to let me walk around with ulcers in my bladder?"
Most painful procedure I've ever had in my life, by the way.
Yeah, you had one too. Well, so long story short, I went for those bladder installations. But the bottom line is, when you can balance out your gut microbiome, you can also start to crowd out that stuff that we don't want in those different cavities that share the car ride in, right? They're sharing the car ride in. If the stomach is being affected, is it being affected by something in the vaginal canal? It's hard to know. So running a genome sequencing stool test is phenomenal. It gives me a ton of data. So, and the other thing is people are very familiar with probiotics, and good health is not about how many organisms you have, like 50 billion of this one. You can overgrow specific strains in the small intestine. It's really about your keystone species. So you guys heard me mention your keystone species, which is your alpha diversity and your beta diversity. But the keystone species probiotics are not the loudest. They're actually not the most flamboyant. They're often presented in small numbers, and they often are outsized and influenced. So The keystone species are like your neutral guys that kind of shift and roll with the tide, but enter in E. coli or Corynebacteriaceae or any of these, and it'll start to kind of, give them a little like, hey, why don't you come over here and hang out with us, like peer pressure, So we don't want them to have the peer pressure. We want them to be able to do their job and thrive. So the keystone probiotics have definitely a profound influence on your gut ecology and your entire body. When we're looking at your keystone species, the keystones determine your pH, your oxygen, your bioflow, your immune tone, the microbiotic traffic patterns, as I mentioned, upregulation, downregulation, something kind of going from the nose down to the gut, which came first, chicken or egg, but we're always having sinus infections because that stuff can travel upstream. And they oversee the production of postbiotics and compounds in the glands and the organs needed to perform their job. What does that mean for you? It means the gut brain need proper balance to function optimally. And I want to transition a little bit into, weight management, as GLP-1 is like this big, bright, hot, as we know. But the gut, brain, heart, thyroid, and your GLP-1, your weight optimizer, and your gut hormone, gut everything is the way to better health. Again, if there is something genetic within your family tree that you're more, you have a propensity towards, everybody in my family has thyroid, or they all have IBS, or they all have this. Yes, your genes kind of dictate where you'll be vulnerable, but then your diet, your lifestyle, your emotions, everything turns those things on, right? So what turns those things on, or what keeps them at bay? You don't have to be irritable bowel. You don't have to be, my dad had acid reflux and I've got it, my cousin has it, and the dog has it, which dogs can get. Rook gets it from time to time. That's why I grow grass for him in the house. When he gets a little lip licky, mommy gives him the grass. So, maybe a sweetheart. But
things we do for our dogs, Renee.
Oh, please. Are you kidding? I would do it in a heartbeat 10 times over without a question asked.
I hear you. They get the bed. I'll sleep on the floor. It's bada bing.
We did have a slumber party last night. Rook and Mark and I slept downstairs. He sleeps on his couch and he's got the whole throne with his little special, linen sheets and everything. But last night we had a little slumber party together. He slept right in between. He's such a good boy. He sleeps the proper way, not across. So we can't, but he's like right in between us and didn't move the whole night.
Love it.
It's such a good boy. But anyway, I digress. So back to your microbiome. How do you balance it? You have to have a test because you don't know what you need. And for the people that have tried some probiotics and it's made a profound difference, bravo, fantastic, that's good. I still recommend testing because you don't know if you're going to cause an imbalance in your keystones. Remember, those keystone species are what we need balance. Those are what crowd out the bad guys. And sometimes you need antimicrobials, and sometimes you need antifungals, and sometimes you need antibiotics. I'm not against any of that, especially if you have a whopping case of SIBO. Antimicrobials, natural ones aren't going to really do much for it. So again, taking a peek under the hood and really seeing what's going on with your microbiome can give you a wealth of information about everything else in your body as you guys are looking to heal your gut, which is going to heal the brain on some level. And I'm not going to even say on some level. Recent studies actually show that almost 90% of cognitive decline comes from the gut. I just flashed my boobs. Comes from your gut. Comes from the gut. Cognitive decline starts in the gut. Unless, of course, you're living near power plant and things like that, and the body's really taking that energetic hit. But truly, guys, if you strengthen your gut, you're strengthening your immune system and you're slowing down that progression. Something as simple as gluten that stays on the brain for up to 6 months. Cognitive decline. Think there's any correlation there? Right? If it can pass the blood-brain barrier, and it can, because of how toxic it is, it's going to add to that toxic load. So my advice and thoughts for today for you guys, and my hope for you today is that you start kind of thinking about what next steps look like for your health, right? We have to make sure that we're doing everything we can. And even if you don't have an active digestive issue, like I mentioned, bloating, gas, cramping, constipation, diarrhea, you may just have some rashing on your arms or some, interesting kind of hair loss or something that doesn't feel right. Your skin isn't right. Your sleep isn't right. Take a check-in with yourself and see if there's a way to look at maximizing your digestion to have optimal health.
Agreed.
Yeah. And again, it does not have to be this big overhaul. And for some people, it can be. Some people step in very willingly, like, hey, I'm ready to really make this change. And honestly, in 22 years of practice, I can count on less than 5 fingers, one hand, how many people come to me eating McDonald's and all that. People are not eating a lot of fast food, maybe occasionally, right? I mean, I have Culver's here. I will drive through occasionally if I'm starving. They have a gluten-free bun. It's not ideal, but something that I can eat out if I've been out all day and I'm starving and I know there's nothing at home. So most people are not eating that way. They're eating mindfully, or they're not sure what to eat, or they've been gluten-free already and dairy-free and they're still having issues. Then we start breaking down, looking at the chemistries of what you're eating, histamines, oxalates, salicylates, and we find some correlations there, as well as on testing. So just get quiet, get curious, think about what would be next steps for you. And I'm always happy to answer questions. You guys can find me at thetummywhisperer.com. And there's a lot of information and articles on there. And will be our next podcast coming on soon, which will be great, this one. And guys will be seeing me monthly here as we talk more about this, what's going to be helpful for your health, for your long-term health. So thanks, Janine, as always, for getting me out there.
Oh, you're so welcome. This is so needed. And for anyone, including myself, that has had relative success on a GLP, it really is now rebuilding my gut to tell my brain, now that I'm in maintenance, that if I don't get my gut right, it's going to go back to where it was, because your gut has to tell your brain, like you were saying. So I definitely need to hit you up for some good stuff.
Yeah, we'll do some stool testing too. And you've already done some of the heavy lifting. You've changed the diet, you eat well, you're mindful. You've kind of gotten, like the big rocks out of your shoe. Now it's just a matter of like maybe doing some fine tuning, which we can do any old time. I'd be happy to continue on your journey with you. Honored to be part of it. So, can you tell everybody where they can find the podcast and find me as well too?
Yes, you can find the Tummy Whisperer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you digest your digital content. She is on YouTube at Renee Barish. We are also at Digestive Health Solutions on Facebook. So please listen, rate, review, and share with a friend or family. This is really good information that needs to be shared with something that you may need, or friend or loved one.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Janine. For now, everybody be well. Don't forget to chew your food really, really well. That helps digest, helps the microbiome. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Let's see. Here we go.